Hello, my name is Sam Hummel. I'm the Director of Outreach at the Sustainable Purchasing Leadership Council. Today we're very pleased to be launching the Council's General Membership Program, so thank you for tuning in to learn about it. First thing, we're going to cover a little bit of the Council's history and programmatic work, and that will provide some context for diving into the details of membership participation. The Council has grown out of an initiative launched in 2008 by the Keystone Center, the Green Products Roundtable. It was a voluntary multi-stakeholder forum that had the goal of, quote, bringing further clarity to the green products marketplace. Between 2008 and 2012, the Roundtable produced a number of intellectual products, including a lexicon of green product terminology, a guide for evaluating the credibility of green claims and the organizations making them, multi-stakeholder consensus input into the Federal Trade Commission's guidelines for green marketing, and finally produced a framework to guide purchasing decision makers in identifying product categories within their spend that had significant impacts and mapping those to credible actions that they could take to address those impacts. When the Roundtable wrapped up its work in 2012, a volunteer steering committee was formed to guide the creation of an independent nonprofit that would further develop and operationalize the GPR framework. That group hired Jason Pearson to lead a pilot project, and then hired myself earlier this year to recruit founding members to the Council. Over the last 9 months, more than 30 organizations from a number of sectors, industries, and regions have stepped forward with financial and other resources to support the founding of the Council. The Council launched officially on July 30th with a webcast event, which you can watch on our website. At the end of August, the founding members met at the National Academy of Sciences in DC to help the steering committee refine the mission, vision, governance, and early priorities of the Council. They also gave excellent feedback that informed the general membership program we're unveiling today. A number of organizations with strategically aligned missions and memberships, such as the Institute for Supply Management, ANSI, and the National Association of State Procurement Officials, have joined the Council as partners and also have participated in the Founding Summit in shaping the membership program. So that's who is behind the initiative to date. After today, we hope you and many more organizations will join the effort. What has brought this group together is a common vision and ambition. The vision is of a world in which the production, use, and disposal of goods and services enhances the long-term health and vitality of people and the planet, rather than deteriorating it. The ambition is to rapidly transform the sustainability of the global economy through the power of institutional procurement. We think that's possible, and here's why. Purchases made for final consumption are the original economic signal that causes all the production, use, and disposal of goods and services in the global economy. So if we want to change the sustainability of our economy, changing how those final consumers are spending their money is a critical point of leverage. U.S. final consumption is an instructive example as the data is available and it represents the largest driver of final consumption in the world. So we'll take a look at the opportunity to influence final consumption via institutional purchasing through that lens. Consumers, government, and foreign consumers and governments are the originators of all final consumption demand, which at first look leads to the conclusion that consumers are by far in a way the most significant force in determining what is extracted, manufactured, and sold, which is a big problem actually. In the US at least, consumer purchasing decisions are dispersed across 300 million people whose habits are expensive to influence, slow to change, and at times irrational. Government procurement, on the other hand, is relatively centralized and transparent, which makes it a much more strategic opportunity to rapidly shift final consumption. But government consumption alone is a minority of the final consumption that we need to be rapidly redirecting to sustainable products and services. So where can we find more high leverage opportunities to influence final consumption? As it turns out, a majority of the dispersed consumer spending goes to services, where much of the final consumption of goods and services takes place within the service provider's operations. Thus, businesses represent a powerful opportunity to influence final consumption due to their relatively centralized, rational, and disciplined procurement processes. Together, these sectors control 2/3 of the final consumption demand signal in the U.S. economy. But what makes them so strategically valuable is the nature of their demand. While it is true that a great deal of institutional purchasing is still not actively managed, it is, when compared to consumer purchasing, highly centralized, rational, transparent, and capable of responding to rapidly to new information. 70% of Americans work for service providers, and 100% of them are customers of government. So if institutions take the opportunity to educate their end users about the benefits of the sustainable products and services the institutions buy, and train their end users or their customers on their proper usage and disposal, the impact of institutional sustainable purchasing can have a positive effect on consumer purchasing decisions as well. So the scale of institutional purchasing presents an opportunity to incorporate sustainability considerations into a share of final consumption spending so large that it could transform the impact of our economy and bring about an economy that enhances the long-term health and vitality of people and the planet. But what makes it a strategic opportunity is that a relatively small group of people negotiate the contracts through which much of that spending takes place. The average institutional purchasing professional contracting goods and services for their organization's operations facilitates a quantity of final consumption spending equal to the spending of hundreds of consumers. It is these professionals, whether they have procurement in their title or not, who hold the key to transforming our economy. There is no group of people that are better positioned to demand transparency into the upstream and downstream impacts of purchased goods and services. There's no group better positioned to take that information and incorporate it into purchasing decisions. There's no group better equipped to drive the cost of sustainable products and services down so that everyone can afford them and they can become the new normal. And there's no group with greater necessity for ensuring that end users are satisfied with the performance of new products, understand their value, and are trained on their proper utilization, which is an incredibly important part of the transition that we need to make. So, as a species, we have a very short time frame in which to turn around the way we do business. To say that our ability to turn that corner fast enough will hinge on the procurement profession may sound like hyperbole today, but in 10 years, we think it's going to be self-evident. When the U.S. Green Building Council was starting out, the idea that architects and designers were uniquely responsible for the sustainability of the spaces we inhabit was not self-evident or popular, whereas that idea seems obvious today. The procurement profession facilitates the vast majority of final consumption that drives our economy, and they do it using decision-making processes that are disciplined, rational, relatively transparent, and capable of changing with new information. So, institutional procurement is what this council is all about. If you have significant influence over your organization's procurement, whether you have procurement or sourcing in your title or not, and you want to advance sustainability through your procurement work, this organization is for you. While purchasers have a uniquely influential role to play, they obviously can't do it alone. It's going to take a lot of collaboration with other marketplace stakeholders. And fortunately, the marketplace is full of stakeholders similarly working to advance sustainability. If you're a supplier, policymaker, public interest advocate, or in any of a number of other types of organizations, and you want to help grow the capacity of institutional purchasers to obtain, evaluate, and incorporate sustainability considerations into their purchasing, this council is for you too, because that's what we're all about. In fact, one of the things that has led to the formation of this council as a multi-stakeholder space is the realization that many of the problems that purchasing professionals encounter when trying to advance sustainability are problems for other stakeholders in the marketplace as well. For example, problems for purchasers like finding the time to create sustainable purchasing policies and supplier surveys for their organization are problems for suppliers who have to interface with hundreds of similar but different policies and similar but different supplier surveys. and they're problems for public interest advocates who have to lobby for preferable purchasing policy changes at one organization after another after another. The explosion of sustainability-related product labels and standards, and the uncertainty about which ones are worthwhile, is a problem for purchasers trying to make informed buying decisions, and a problem for suppliers trying to decide what standards or certifications they should invest in. Everyone is struggling to figure out how to measure the impacts and risks in their purchasing, and no one feels like they have the data that they need to do it. In the absence of shared metrics, everyone's inventing their own, which makes it difficult to do benchmarking and to earn leadership recognition from a credible third party. Because there isn't a shared training program, everyone's having to develop their own. And perhaps most frustrating, so much of the good, creative work being done to solve these problems is taking place in industry, sector, or regional silos within our global economy, which means that solutions available in one place aren't available in another, and energy gets consumed reinventing the same solutions over and over. All these shared problems need shared solutions, and that is exactly the idea that led to the formation of the Council. Our goal is to create an independent, multi-sector, multi-stakeholder space in which all the excellent work already underway can be brought together, collectively vetted, and organized into a shared program for guiding, measuring, and recognizing leadership in sustainable purchasing. We like to use USGBC and LEAD as a model for what we are doing, because if one takes a look at many of the barriers facing the green building movement in the early 90s, it's clear that many of the problems were shared by everyone in the marketplace, just like those facing the sustainable purchasing movement today. And if one looks at how those problems got resolved, it's equally clear that a pivotal moment was the creation of an independent, multi-sector, and multi-stakeholder organization through which a shared assessment and leadership recognition program could be credibly developed. So what we're building is a leadership community that will develop and host a number of programs for professionals and stakeholders involved in institutional procurement, similar to what the U.S. Green Building Council developed for professionals and stakeholders involved in construction. The Council will host a vibrant knowledge-sharing community, provide guidance resources, develop a shared training program and credentialing program, host meetings in an expo, develop a leadership rating system for sustainability and institutional procurement, and do outreach to raise the visibility of this movement so that it gets the attention and resources it needs to be the change-making force we need it to be. And naturally, the intention is for the governance of this council to meet the requirements for developing a voluntary consensus standard. You can probably imagine, I hope you can imagine, all the ways that what I've just described could be helpful to you and your organization. But since our founding members have already told us some of the reasons why they joined and the things that they expect to get value out of the council, we've included a few here. There are a lot of reasons, but they can basically be summarized in three categories: reducing risks and costs, increasing the value of what they're already doing, and getting access to credible information, market insights, experts, and knowledgeable peers. If you're thinking about how to make the case for membership to your organization, this will be a good slide to come back to. Now that we've covered who's behind the council and why they've invested in getting it to this point, and what you can expect to participate in if you join the council, let's talk about how organizations and their employees can get involved. While the council's members are organizations, the dues they pay and the benefits they receive depend on the types of staff they wish to engage in the council's work. I'll say that again because it might not be intuitive. The dues that organizations pay for membership and the benefits they receive depend on the types of staff that they wish to engage in the council's work. This is because many member organizations have staff whose primary interest in the council is distinct from other staff at the same organization. The council has defined three basic roles through which an organization's staff can engage in the work of the council: in a purchaser role, in a supplier role, or in a public interest advocate role. Let me give you some examples of what I'm talking about. An example might be a government agency responsible for environmental protection that has staff who advocate for sustainable production and consumption, and has procurement staff, who buy goods and services for the agency's operations. Both of these groups of staff might want to participate in the council's work, but for different reasons. Similarly, a corporation that supplies goods or services to the marketplace will have purchasing staff, who are distinct from the company's sales staff, and both functions may see value in participating in the council. Recognizing the different perspectives and interests of these groups of staff, the council has created membership roles whose benefits and dues are tailored to each group. In the governance structure of the council, the bylaws are written to ensure that each of these three roles has equal voice and representation in every decision-making body involved in producing council work products. That includes the board, committees, technical advisory groups, and working groups. The council will provide opportunities for role-specific communities of practice to form, such as a purchaser-specific community, but all major decision-making and content development will involve equal voice and representation from each of the three roles. When an organization applies to be a member, they can choose to sign up for just one role or multiple roles, if they have the appropriate dedicated staff, of course, to participate in multiple roles. When a member organization's employees register for events, the online community, elections, and other activities, they will be asked to identify themselves with a role that the member organization has purchased. Their eligibility for the role will be verified, and they'll be clearly identified with that role when participating in council work, such as on event badges, in the member directory, and in the online community. The purchaser role is appropriate for employees who have significant responsibility for guiding their organization's purchasing of goods and services. If their organization is a supplier to institutions, they must not have any responsibilities related to growing sales and revenue, as that could be a conflict of interest. As you can see, practically any type of organization may have staff that could fit this role, including procurement, operations, and sustainability staff, who do not have revenue-generating responsibilities. The staff of a membership organization representing purchasers, such as a professional society, may also participate in this role. The supplier role is appropriate for employees with revenue-generating responsibilities related to the design, marketing, and provision of goods and services to institutional customers. Organizations most likely to be interested in this role include distributors, manufacturers, service providers, including professional services. Certifiers, standards developers, and labelers are also considered suppliers as they are selling an assurance product. Staff of member organizations representing suppliers, such as trade associations, may also participate in this role. The types of professionals most likely to be interested in this role include product development, marketing, sales, and customer service staff. Sustainability staff may also fall into this category if they have any responsibilities related to growing their organization's sales to institutional customers. The public interest advocate role is an appropriate role for employees of public interest advocacy organizations who do not have responsibilities related to promoting products or services, such as product certifications or standards. They also should have technical expertise related to the intersection of institutional purchasing and the aspects of the public interest for which their organization is an advocate. Examples of professionals that might participate in this role include nonprofit program staff, subject matter experts from government agencies that have a public interest advocacy mission, and researchers and faculty at academic institutions. Members in every one of these roles enjoy the following benefits: the opportunity to engage with thought leaders in the institutional purchasing profession and other stakeholder groups, the opportunity to participate in the technical development of the Council's guidance, measurement, and leadership recognition programs, access to member-only resources and expert communities of practice, member discounts on registration for events and trainings, public recognition for their engagement in the sustainable purchasing movement, and the opportunity to share their thought leadership through SPLC community platforms, and eligibility for SPLC awards programs. Please check our website for the latest information on member-to-member engagement opportunities. Additional member benefits are tailored to the membership roles. Purchasers are eligible for purchaser representative seats on council decision-making bodies and may vote in the election of the 3 purchaser representatives on the board. They also will have access to purchaser-focused spaces in which they can get assistance on their current work, such as crafting an RFP, without unfairly advantaging any supplier that may be participating in the council. Purchasers will also be able to take advantage of product and service discounts offered by supplier members. Members with the supplier role will be eligible for supplier representative seats on the council decision-making bodies and may vote in the election of the 3 supplier representatives on the board. They also will be eligible to sponsor SPLC activities and exhibit at the annual meeting. Suppliers will be listed in the SPLC Product and Services Directory and will be able to advertise discounts to purchaser members. Members with the public interest advocate role are eligible for the public interest representative seats on council decision-making bodies and may vote in the election of the 3 supplier representatives, public interest advocate representatives on the board. Transparency is something the council believes to be very important for its multi-stakeholder work, and all of the council's bylaws and membership policies and procedures governing what I've just described can be found on our website. The opportunity to become a member of the council is being rolled out in stages. Organizations wishing to join in the purchaser and public interest roles may begin applying on October 18th, suppliers on November 18th, and membership-based organizations on January 14th. Membership dues correspond to the size of a membership organization and the role or roles in which they choose to participate. Size is measured by annual budget for federal and state agencies, local governments, and nonprofits. For for-profit corporations, the dues level corresponds to the company's annual revenue. Companies filing separate tax returns are separate for membership purposes. Subsidiaries that do not file separate tax returns may not join separately from their parent company. As an incentive for members to go ahead and join the fun, we're offering a 30% discount during the first month of each enrollment window. Applications must be submitted within the window, and payment must be received within 45 days. In an effort to encourage members to bring their full expertise to the table, the Council is offering a discount for organizations that sign up for more than one role when they have staff eligible to participate in more than one role. For example, a university could join simply for the benefit of the procurement professionals in its facilities division, but if the university has faculty or researchers that could contribute to the work of the Council, we think it's important to incentivize that more full engagement. Similarly, if a supplier company could join purely for the sake of having, a supplier company could join purely for the sake of having its product development team gain insights from Council work. But if the company has procurement staff who could contribute to the Council's work and benefit from the community of practice, we want to encourage all that engagement as well. As with any discount, this discount is offered at the will of the Council and is subject to change. It will likely be reevaluated in January, so don't assume it is forever. Organizations that are eligible to take advantage of both discounts, the early bird discount and the multi-role discount, may do so and save up to 50% on their membership. The actual cumulative discount will vary depending on the size and combination of roles. Transforming the world such that the production, use, and disposal of goods and services enhance the long-term health and vitality of people and the planet won't be easy, but it is the call of our times. By working together, we can do it. We have to. And in the process, we're going to discover more meaning in our work than we ever thought possible and have a lot of fun building new relationships. We're excited here at the Council about the future of this organization and energized by the purpose-driven professionals it is attracting. Our journey is just beginning, and we'd like to invite you to be part of it the whole way. Thank you.